We are here because it's Empire season. All right. It is the season to be your big self, do your big dreams, receive the big love, the big money, line up to the big things, live the life you were born to live, build the empire you were born to build. And that requires making some big moves. Many of you know I've just moved from California in the United States to Europe, to Portugal. That's one of my big moves, but there's been a bunch of other big moves too that I'm going to be sharing with you. And it's not just a season for me to make big moves and be my big self and do my big dreams. It's also a season for you to make big moves and be your big self and do your big dreams. And that requires a lot of big decisions. And so what I want to do today is declare, well, actually, let's do a micro metaphysics lesson. In spiritual law, in universal law, there is a known pattern through which sacred destruction precedes sacred creation. Sometimes to create a new reality, there's shit in your right now reality that is inconsistent with it and cannot go along with it. All right. There's some ways that we've been being and things we've been doing that we can't keep doing and also move into our new reality. So I'm here to declare one of those sacred destructions. I am here to declare death, the end to cookie cutter culture. Okay. Cookie cutter no more. So we talk a ton about how creating your new reality the way that we do it at Soul Tour, aligning to the millions of dollars that are out there in this universe for you that you can make just for being your big, true, sacred self, involves getting off that treadmill you might have been on for maybe your whole life. That treadmill where you're checking the boxes that somebody else calls success. You're outwardly successful, but on the inside, you're like, isn't there gotta be more out there than this? Getting off that treadmill, engineering your own personal great recalibration, where you shed all those other definitions of success and step into this new definition of success, which is you know your true self, you love your true self, and you create a whole life and a business that radically aligns to, accommodates, allows, expresses who you really are. All of that doesn't just mean throwing away the world's definition of success. It doesn't just mean rejecting the world's definition of success and trading it for someone else's. All right. And that's what I see a lot of happening right now is people are like, okay, Tara, we reject that success is just income. We reject that success is how much you've accomplished before you're 30 or 40 or 50 years old. I see people willing to make that rejection, but then they start going, so what am I going to do now? It's tempting to borrow somebody else's picture or definition of success because it's very untethering to get off the treadmill, right? As soon as you get off the treadmill, you go, oh shit, who am I going to be in this new story? How will I decide what to do without all of those old stories, without the checklist, the track that I've been on, the treadmill that I've been on? That can be very daunting. It can be very untethering. It can cause you to feel like you're adrift. And like I say all the time to my students, you're not adrift, but you are untethered. Untethering is radically liberating, but untethering also brings you both luxury, the luxury of sovereignty, the luxury of fulfillment should you step into it, and challenge, the challenge of making big decisions, of deciding who you want to be, of imagining a new technicolor vision for how your life might look, and then lining up to that. All right. So each of us within us has a unique configuration of energy. That's what we call your human design. All right. Aligning to millions, self mastery does not just mean fulfilling who you really are, the potentials, that's still that like performative, gotta get it all done before I die. It means creating a life that has meaning for, that accommodates, that allows and expresses your true self. And that requires a lot of decision making. Some of you are pulling back from getting radically liberated, from getting in radical alignment with your life because you're envisioning the decision fatigue in advance. And that's only because you don't know how to make these decisions yet. All right. So, what I see happening right now in the world of personal growth and the world of coaching is a lot of coaches saying, do what I do and you'll get what I get. And I am here to come against that because you know what? They don't have your design, they don't have your wiring. What's aligned for them might not be what's aligned for you based on your human design. So you can hire a coach, get into a program and do exactly, you can get into a cookie cutter program and do exactly what that person did. And you might not get their results because you are designed differently from them. You can do exactly what they did and maybe you get their results, but you hate them because it's not aligned to you because you're not designed like them. So what we're talking about when we're talking about making, one of the first steps of my method is recalibrate, actualize, align. That's the Align to Millions method or the self-mastery method. And in that first step, recalibrate, we are waking up from our core trance of fear, scarcity, unworthiness, trauma, so that is no longer in the driver's seat of our decisions and our life. In part 2, we're actualizing who we really are. And that means learning our human design, learning who our true sacred self is before all the conditioning got to us, before we picked up the programs of culture, before we picked up all that perform, conform, produce to earn your spot on the planet nonsense. And then there's another piece to part 2, though, and it's DSD, doing something different. You first actualize your true self by learning who you really are, learning your human design, understanding your strategy, understanding your authority. There is no checklist or blueprint for a radically liberated life, but there are a lot of tools. There is a lot of universal guidance. That's what the human design system offers us. That's why I use it to help my clients and students build the empires of their souls. All right. There are decision rules in your human design. There are discernment rules in your human design. There is guidance, there are strategies, there is authority. And it's gonna look different from somebody else's. So this morning I had a conversation with a wonderful young woman. And I said, part of the reason my Portugal move is going how it's going is that I super followed my human design strategy and authority as I was making the decisions where to move, how to execute it. It took me, a year from the time I decided to move to Portugal to the time we got here. She said to me, "What's your strategy?" Listen, the neighborhood dogs even want to chime in. She said to me, "What is your strategy?" And I said, I'm a projector. So the shorthand of my strategy is wait for invitations. But I said, that's just the shorthand of my strategy. Because the actual strategy is like master systems, put my mastery out into the world, delegate 80% of the work that comes to me, guide a bunch of generators to do the work, avoid burnout, stay rested, wait to, discern which opportunities are right for me by waiting for the invitations that come where the person who's making the invitation has communicated to me that they value my mastery. All right. So that's my longhand. And she goes, "Oh, I'm going to try to close this." She goes, "Oh my gosh, that's so resonant for me. That's how I make decisions too." And I said, "Well, what's your type and strategy and, authority?" And she's like, "Oh, I'm a generator." And I'm like, that may be resonant for you. That may be how you've been making decisions. You might feel like that's wise, but it's not correct for you as a splenic or as a sacral generator to make the decisions using the strategy of a splenic projector. And if that's what you're doing, the reality is that you'll probably get better results. You'll probably make decisions that get results that you love much more often in your life when you learn your own strategy. All right. When you start using not just the decision-making strategy and discernment strategy and timing strategy that feels resonant for you, or that seems wise to you, or that seems rational to you, or even that seems spiritual to you, when you actually start to learn deeply your own nuanced, personal human design energies, strategy, authority, and some of the other energies in your chart too, you will get results from your decisions that you love much, much more often. Okay, so that was the first conversation I had this morning. The second conversation I had this morning was a friend of mine saying, I can't believe you actually made this move. Can I talk to your real estate clairvoyant? Because people know I worked with a real estate clairvoyant at the beginning of my process of determining and discerning where I might relocate. She said, can I talk to him? Because I wonder if I should be there too. I wonder if I should move there too. And I just was like, of course you can talk to him. He's wonderful. And also, you're not even asking the right question, love. The question is not, should I do what Tara did? The question is, what's in alignment for me? What's in alignment for me uniquely? So we've all been conditioned to think that there's a rational, right way to make decisions, or that there's a spiritual, soulful way to make decisions. And we're doing these things. We're making our decisions in these ways that we've done over and over again. Or maybe as we seek to create a new reality, we're looking at, hey, that looked like it really worked well for her, or that's an unwanted outcome I'm going to figure out how to avoid. And none of those are actually your accurate, physically correct decision making and discernment strategy. Your human design energies offer you that. You'll see all about that in my new book, Aligned to Millions, which is actually out now at soultour.com/aligned to millions. But I want to wrap this up with a couple of other points that I think you'll find really valuable. Now, there's some real talk, because I want to give you not just death to cookie cutter culture. Stop believing that if you do what someone else does, you'll get what they get, because that's not how humanity works, and that's not how human design works. That's my top line point. But I want to share a couple of other details that will help you learn how to begin leveraging this idea that cookie cutter advice basically never works. So what are you supposed to do with that? All right, now first know this. Real talk is there are a bunch of energies and details in my Tara's personal human design chart that do put me in a particular position to teach from my experience. First, I have a 3-5 profile. In human design, they call that the martyr heretic, because it's a profile of someone who experiments and tries on all kinds of different things in life, and then comes back and teaches what they've learned to people and to the masses in a way that's really revolutionary and upends some of the old things that were held sacred about culture, right? So countercultural, I think of it as more like the scientist revolutionary. All right, so it is my job to experiment with lots of things, and I've had every career. I was a personal trainer. I have a master's degree in psychology. I was a lawyer. I was a real estate broker, right? I've had a bunch of different businesses. So I have been around experientially, and I have a gift for teaching what I've learned in ways that will awaken you from some of the cultural trances, because that's what I'm designed to do. Secondly, I'm a projector, so it is my destiny to guide. I can see into individual people and see your potentials and see what it would take for you to fulfill those potentials. I also have this wild commitment to seeing what needs seeing and saying what needs saying in ways that change behavior and transform lives, right? I have something in my chart called the line of the storyteller. And I take it seriously. I use my own life stories. I use the stories from myth and sacred texts of all cultures. I use all sorts of, any kind of a story I can kind of turn into a parable. And I have a commitment that when I teach from my own stories, I teach from my scars, not from my wounds. All right? I teach from my scars, not from my wounds. I've written 4 books. I've built 3 7-figure plus businesses. So on certain business strategy questions, like how do I translate my unique spirit into concrete products and offers that people will find so transformational, they'll love to buy them, or marketing messages. I do just actually know what works because I've built a bunch of transformation businesses. For example, I know that growth books, like my Aligned to Millions book, can be used by any human design type of entrepreneur to grow a small struggle bus business into the empire of their soul. It's a strategy I teach in my program, Empires of the Soul. However, I'm also a human design specialist. So I know that how you individually, uniquely execute that strategy should vary dramatically based on your unique chart. So I share that because I want you to see the power of understanding your own human design chart and the energies and the configurations within it, for translating those things into the business empire of your soul and the life you were born to live. This is how you get making decisions. These are the tools it equips you with to make decisions that work out in ways you love. So you create a whole life that you love to look at. So I had a friend, the third conversation this morning I had was a friend going, gosh, I wish we could just sit at a cafe and talk about human design for hours. And I was like, I'm not doing that, because that's literally what we do in Life, Self, and Money Mastery, which is one of my programs. We just sit and talk about our lives and selves and human design types and strategies and mastery for hours and hours and hours. London, no. I'll be with you in a second. Yes, you can. I just got photobombed by a 5-year-old. So what we do is talk about human design for hours. And I pour all of my human design knowledge and effort into that, into the programs, into my students in those programs. If they're in just working on their lives, we're in Life, Self, and Money Mastery. If they're working on their businesses, we're in the Empires program. But there is one, so if you want to know about any of those programs, the links are in my bios everywhere, or you can just come into the comments or come into DM and ask me about them. But I will say there is one single thing where I can, as a blanket rule, say, do what I do and you'll get what I got. But it's way higher level than what you think. It's not just like write the book, start the business, move to Portugal. It's not like that. It's like I recalibrated my belief systems. I recalibrated my nervous system. I woke up from my core trance. That's the first part of my Align to Millions method. Second, actualize. I actualize my true sacred self by learning my human design type and strategy and authority and surrendering to that. Which always, when we talk about surrendering to your human design strategy, I think about that Toni Morrison quote. If you surrender to the air, you could learn. You could learn to fly. You could ride it. When you learn your human design strategy, you can surrender to it. And you can you become like an eagle that just you do the hard work to get up there. And once you're up there, you can coast on the current. Everything, getting the results you want in your life becomes much, much easier. All right. And then the third step is align. I aligned my entire life to my true self, and I'm still doing that in real time, transparently, moving to a new country, selling my old house, putting this child who just video bombed us on horses, having surf lessons, retooling my entire business. You'll see in the book, you'll see how we retooled the business. If you come to upgrade in October, you'll see how we retooled the business so that I could line up to the big things that I came here to be, do, have, learn, create, using my own alignment technology, using the spiritual strategies I teach my students. So if you want to go deeper and learn more about this, learn more about how to create a non-cookie cutter life, learn how to get out of this idea that if you do what she did, you'll get what she got, and learn how to get the sovereignty and direction from in here, from your own inner guidance, you can get the book. It's a great place to start, soultour.com/align to millions. If you want to go even deeper, you should think about coming into Life, Self, and Money Mastery, soultour.com/LSM-enroll. And I have something even deeper coming. It's a secret. But if you want to be one of the first to know about it, come into the comments and just type radically me, because that's what we're allowing you to be expressing Accommodating is radically you, your true sacred self. All right, I love you. I'm going to go sit down and eat dinner with my kiddo. I'll see you guys soon. Keep your head up and heart out. Bye, guys.